Welcome to this edition of FSU Weather. My name is student meteorologist Jake Taylor.
And I'm student meteorologist Troy Fields. And Jake, it wasn't a terrible day today for weather-wise. Feeling for breaks of sun and clouds in between. Not a bad way to go outside, right?
Yeah, it was a fairly nice day outside, very seasonable. But the story this week, unfortunately, is going to be a disturbance that has been developing, and it's going to be moving into the Gulf of Mexico. Over the next few days, there's actually a projected Saturday impact of this system.
Yes, and right now it is in the Western Caribbean right now, and it looks, starting to look a little bit better on satellite imagery, but still on conditions aren't that unfavorable for development right now.
Right. Initially, there was quite a bit of wind shear that was hindering the system from developing, but projections indicate that wind shear is going to be backing off, and it's going to have a lot more room to develop over the next few days as it moves into the Gulf.
And of course, later in the show, we're going to talk about what would that mean for weather here, because the models do show it having moving into the Gulf Coast region into the weekend. And unfortunately, guess what's on Saturday?
Game day.
Game day. So it's not, as right now, it's not looking, the best right now. So if you're planning on going out to see the game, you might want to bring that umbrella, because
right.
Yeah,
but
it's handy.
We'll get more to that later in the show. But for right now, we're going to pass it out to Jason for an overview.
Hey, thanks, Jake. And so far, currently, we're not expecting those showers just to arrive yet. Tallahassee's looking a little clear at the current time. Showers do remain offshore for most of the southeast region. We're expecting these conditions next couple of days. The next weather factor, though, is beginning to make itself into the northwest. You see some showers coming on shore from Seattle, and this is next low pressure system / winter storm is going to be developing and shifting throughout the whole nation and will affect the weather into the coming days. But overall, we've seen some sea breeze showers from the Tallahassee region that extending just the east and west. We have a shower or two just the west of Wilmot. However, Tallahassee, though, looking dry, a little more seasonable for what we expect into October. Now, the weather headlines for today, yes, the tropics is the main story to today. I'll get you back later when the tropics segment comes up about how this could be affecting the Tallahassee's weather. Dry and seasonable, however, though, into the weekend and cooler weather next week as that cold front does pass by. So big weather factor this weekend. Stay tuned, though. We'll get to how this could be affecting your game day and more into your forecast. Let's take back to the desk now.
Taking another broader look, actually we have a system right now moving through Nebraska, South Dakota, and will be moving to the Wyoming area that has potential to bring quite a bit of snowfall in the coming days.
Yes, and of course that was part of that storm system that brought all those rain along the Pacific Northwest coast. And in the meantime, that will be shifting towards the east, and so as we mentioned, snow potentially around the Dakota and Wyoming region.
Right, it's going to be strengthening over the next few days. We'll have increased the chances for snow, but this is going to lead to travel delays along I-90 through South Dakota, I-25 through Wyoming, and these are broad stretches of interstate that are going to be seeing difficult travel conditions.
So if you have any travel plans along the regions, you're going to want to be careful on the travel on the roads. Because it could be very slippery and slicky at times. So you just want to, tune your local weather updates and just check out and be smart about it. But in the meantime, we're going to take a look at your local, and of course, today it was very, very dry across the Tallahassee region. And as we advance these graphics here, we're going to look at today's almanac, and we reached a high of 87 degrees, so right on par with our average this time of year of 85 degrees. So it was a very comfortable day all in out. And as we look ahead at your current conditions, what's getting more of these comfortable temperatures, 84 degrees in the capital cities, partly cloudy conditions, so not a bad night if you're having any outdoor activities. But we're going to broaden your temperatures out on the Big Bend region, and lots in 80s on the eastern sections of the Bend region. Once again, 84 degrees in Tallahassee, 86 degrees in St. Mark's. Quincy is the cool spot on this map with 79 degrees. And as we look at your dew points, remember, dew point is a good indicator of how much moisture there is in the atmosphere, and it's also a good indicator of your humidity levels. And dew points are sitting in the 60s right now, so it's a little bit muggy right now, but not overbearing. When dew points start to get in the 70s, and that's when things become really, really oppressive. And so as for the time of year right now, we're not seeing that. So really, really good conditions, if I do say so myself. But we're going to look towards your southeast satellite radar. A little bit of pop-up showers along the I-10 corridor, but they're staying west of the Tallahassee right now. But for those of you wondering what all this is, except for the other side of the screen, that is from the tropical disturbance in the Caribbean, and that's where we're going to spend time with what's going to be playing in our weather over the next couple of days. We do have high pressure that's sitting to the north of us right now, and that is keeping us dry and seasonable for the time being. But that's going to change as we head out towards the weekend. As we head into Thursday, high pressure moves on and out, and going to the weekend, Friday, there's that tropical disturbance out of the Caribbean. It's going to move northwards towards the Gulf of Mexico, and that as it moves closer, we send up to Friday. That's going to bring the chance for rain showers along the Gulf Coast, and Saturday, that's game day, and unfortunately things are looking like not so well as that tropical disturbance will be moving to our region in that day. So if you have any plans on going out to see your Seminoles, cheer on, you're going to want to have that umbrella, or if you don't, and of course umbrellas are not allowed in the stadium, so you're going to need that poncho, because as of right now things are looking more likely that it's not looking so good. But in the meantime, as your tonight's forecast is concerned, 66 degrees is tonight's temperature overnight, so not a bad night all in all, very comfortable. So it's a great night if you want to take your dog out for a walk, or you want to take your nightly run, or just want to walk just for the sake of walking. I do that lots of times. Not a bad idea. So I highly encourage you to do that. Just go and exercise, folks. Tomorrow's forecast, 86 degrees more seasonable weather, a couple of partly cloudy skies, and 7-day forecast. And tomorrow will be the only day, the last day, that we will see very, very comfortable conditions. But as we head on to the Friday and the weekend, that's when that tropical disturbance will begin moving through, and that will bring the chance for rain showers, as I mentioned, going into game day. So, Jake, not something that we wanted. Oh, actually, we're going to go back to the southeast, my bad, with Chris. Chris, how are things looking across the southeast?
Thank you, Troy. And things are looking pretty good across the southeast. A little bit of rain as we head off to the west along towards Pensacola and into New Orleans and points along western the Gulf Coast. We do have some sea breeze showers and some moisture from the tropics moving on that way. But for the most part, from Montgomery to Little Rock and Tupelo, sunny skies, beautiful day, low 80s, your high, very comfortable conditions. We're going to see a similar trend to your Thursday, but then things are going to change, and I'll talk about that a little later on with the tropics. But the radar shows there's that moisture, as I was talking about, a little bit to the west of us along the northern and central Gulf Coast. From New Orleans over towards Pensacola, picked up about 1 to 2 inches of rain. It kind of missed us today, kept us a little bit cloudy, especially upper level clouds overhead. I'm sure you noticed those on your walk to campus today, but across the southeast, quite clear and beautiful and dry to say the least. But we do got some tropics brewing down in the southern Gulf and around the Bay of Campeche and the Yucatan Peninsula, and that's going to be our main interest coming into the weekend. But for now, still a little bit dry from Tallahassee east, but then wet as you make your way towards the west. And as far as the story plays out, here's that high pressure that kept us dry today and is going to keep us dry through your day tomorrow and into the beginning of Friday. That's going to push on out, and then we have a nice low that's developing. That is actually going to be our next area of concern. This could develop and could bring a lot of rain from New Orleans over toward our neck of the woods. It's still in the play mode. Just stay tuned and we'll keep you updated, of course, with as the day approaches. But looking like Saturday could be the day with the most rain. So I know it's game day, but we'll keep our eyes on it. Water vapor shows we are moistening up the atmosphere, really juicing things up, especially down here in the South Florida and down into the tropics. That's where that system is. You can see it's quite big. Will it stay this big? Will it grow? We'll have to keep an eye on it. It looks like it is going to develop, but how strong it gets and how big it gets, that's still in the play. Boating, going to be a little choppy tomorrow. Winds are going to be out of the east quite fast, but tonight's forecast, 60s, very comfortable night, upper 50s in Wilmington and near Savannah, 74 and muggy in New Orleans with those showers and clouds around. Tomorrow, though, looking like another replica of today, 86 here in Tallahassee, 90 in Montgomery, 84 in Atlanta. Beautiful weather. But as far as the north and central plains are concerned, we got snow and severe weather, guys. Take it back to the desk and give us the info.
Alrighty, Chris, and you are correct. Of course, we already mentioned about the snowfall that source the system in the plains, but that has another side to it, doesn't it, Jake?
Yeah, it's got actually got a severe side to it, and what we mean by that is not necessarily as much. I mean, there is severe in terms of snowfall, but we're going to be looking at more like possible tornado outbreaks, severe thunderstorm outbreaks, and things along those lines.
And the best chance for that to happen is going to be from anywhere Oklahoma in the southern plains all the way to Wisconsin. So you're going to want to make sure you watch your local weather updates, because things can get a little bit on the nasty side there.
So you definitely want to be prepared. Stay tuned to your local or weather station to be ready for those storms. But for now, we're going to broaden things out and take a look at the national scope with Tyler.
Thanks, Jake and Troy. And yes, across the nation, we're kind of seeing, well, a little bit of everything. We got the heat in the mid part of the country, cooler weather out in the west, and, well, somewhat warmer than average conditions across the northeast as well. But this is all because of a system that's moving through the west, and it's spreading the heat eastward and then the cooler weather as well. Now you can see this is the water vapor satellite imagery, the moisture content in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, that is. And you can see these rich colors here, the green, the grays. That's lots of moisture being drawn up from the Gulf, and this is just kind of the telltale signs of what's to come across the Gulf Coast region we're talking about this weekend, as we've been mentioning all show long and we'll be continuing for the next several minutes. An increased chance of moisture. But out west, we also have a system, and that's causing some headache for travelers across Wyoming. I-80, I-15, all the way through the mountainous terrain here of the Cascades and the Rockies. We're seeing some winter weather watches. It's not a pretty day. I mean, it's pretty to look at, but it's not pretty to drive through across that part of the country. Taking a look at the radar picture now, and you can see we do have some rain, but some snow as well in the higher elevations. Meanwhile, the southeast, we're looking at some moisture being pumped in and funneled into this region here from that tropical moisture, and it's going to only increase as we go into the next couple of days. Here's a little radar tour for you. Starting out west, you can see that rain coming in Seattle, much of the Interstate 5 corridor, and then we have some snow beginning to pop up in the very high elevations, and that's going to increase over the next couple of days. Meanwhile, in the Dakotas, we have a storm system here, and from about Minnesota down to Kansas tomorrow, there's a risk of some severe weather. Friday, even a greater chance from about Michigan down to portions of Kentucky. You can see for now, though, they're dealing with moisture of their own, scattered showers across the mid part of the country, and then again, the southeast, where folks along the northern Gulf Coast just really need to watch that system that's presently in the northwestern Caribbean, showing signs of some development and organization, and that could be the weekend. Of course, sites do have it set on the Gulf Coast, but the exact impacts are still to be made clear over the next couple of days. 30s and 40s, cold weather out west, naturally with that snow. 60s and 70s elsewhere in the morning. Then tomorrow afternoon, 80s and 90s across the eastern half of the country. But that's it around the country. Let's go ahead and take a look at the local forecast with Zach. It's his first time on the FSU Weather Show. Welcome, Zach.
Hey, thank you. There are current conditions outside in Tallahassee right now. It's currently 83 degrees. Going on in Tallahassee. We apologize for that mic problem there. Thank you, Tyler, for saying it's my first day, obviously having a few problems. But 83 degrees in Tallahassee, partly cloudy skies, and that humidity is low. So it's feeling really nice. But as we take a look at our satellite and radar, you can see some of that Gulf moisture there in New Orleans. It's flowing on up through the Gulf. It gave them, as Chris said earlier, about 1 to 2 inches of rain, and it stayed majority to our west. We've actually had a few sunny skies today, some of those high thin clouds. But as I turn, we can look right down here. Some of that Gulf moisture right there starting to move into Miami, and that is actually associated with the tropical system, I should say, that is developing. Hurricane hunters are actually on their way right now. So we will have an update on that later on in the show. But as we go to our current temperatures, 83 here in Tallahassee. Overall, low to mid 80s overall, but as you get a little closer to the coast there in St. Mark's, it's 86 degrees, 83 there in Carabel, and as I turn, 82 in Wilma. Our current dew points, again, very low compared to where we have been. 62 in Tallahassee, 65 in St. Mark's, and 68 in Quincy, a little higher there in Monticello. But that dew point is staying a lot lower, so it's not feeling as humid as it has been these past few days, especially last week. It was a little bad last week, so it feels nice when you go out to your classes. High pressure dominating here in our futurecast, and it's bringing you those dry and seasonable conditions we've been seeing for the past few days. But as we set our futurecast into motion, you can see this area of concern that we'll be talking about later on in that show, that low pressure moving in Friday night, and we'll be watching if it makes a landfall there on Saturday. But as there we go. Tonight's forecast is 66 degrees, partly cloudy skies, partly cloudy skies and a comfortable night of an east wind. Tomorrow, 86, partly cloudy skies with seasonable conditions. And as I step out of the way, your 7-day forecast, watching the tropics this weekend, a little cooler next week. And we're going to send it off to the desk right now with Tyler and Jason to talk more.
All right, thanks so much, Zach. And again, good job on your first time. Those technical issues, you worked through them, and that's a great sign of your skill.
It always happens to me at times. Good thing maybe be a weathercaster. However, though, we did have the winter storm that ended through the Washington region.
Yes.
A lot of snow, and of course, a couple hikers got lost, Tyler.
Yeah, that's right. It's a scary situation. It's always good to maybe let your family know what you're doing because, well, in the case of, 2 hikers, they haven't found them yet, but 2 hikers were found, and tell us that story. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, well, those 2 hikers, they were walking all the way from Mexico. They were on a sort of a trip, a walk hike from Mexico to Canada, and on the way, they did pass through Washington, and overnight, as they did pass through Washington, they got caught up in that blizzard snow, and unfortunately, they were waist deep in the ground. However, though, we did have a helicopter, we were able to pull them out to safety back to Portland, Oregon.
Amazing stuff. So, good news, they weren't hurt, and they're just fine. So, always let somebody know, I think, where you're going. That's the bottom line. But no snow in Florida, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, no snow here. Anywhere close to the Sunshine State. Unfortunately, the Sunshine State is a little bit of a misnomer today. Most of the southern 2/3 of the state were under cloud cover this afternoon because of all that tropical moisture that is coming in from the south. Areas right now in the mid-80s in South Florida, 84 degrees in Fort Myers as well as in Key West. Pretty close to that here in Tallahassee at 83 degrees. 70s where we're getting rain in Pensacola and in Jacksonville as well. And that's going to be kind of the same story over the next couple of days as well. East winds are bringing in plenty of moisture off the Atlantic. Those are going to start coming in out of the south. You can see that already in Key West at 13 miles an hour. That east wind is bringing lots of showers and even a little bit of a sea breeze from the east coast over towards the west coast, funneling in moisture, and it's also pushing our storms away from the Tallahassee area over towards Okaloosa County and over towards Pensacola as well. That's really what's kept us clear here in Tallahassee. The story is about to change at the surface. That southerly wind, when it begins to veer out of the south, is really going to bring in a lot of deeper moisture, and you can see that already on the water vapor at the upper level of the atmosphere. You can see a lot of those, that green and that white, that's upper level moisture that's coming in from the south, from that tropical system well down to the south. And that's going to begin to reach us here in Tallahassee over the next day or so. And as we look at the satellite and radar, you can start to see a couple of rain bands setting up as well. And you saw those cooler temperatures just a minute ago? That's the reason as well. A lot of rain across the Everglades over towards Charlotte Harbor and starting to work up into Tampa Bay as well. If you want to take a look at some more rain closer to us, you can see a little bit more rain over towards the Panama City area and over towards Pensacola. And those rain chances are going to remain there over towards the western side of the Panhandle over the next day or so because of that area of low pressure we saw a couple of days ago, which kind of dined out over Alabama and Mississippi. Here's another look at those rain bands across South Florida. Again, Everglades, they're known to be wet, and this is why they get the rain first here in Florida. Taking a look at the beach, it's okay to go to the beach for today and tomorrow. The story's going to change as we head towards the weekend. We're looking at 2 to 4 foot surf, so a light chop there at the beach with east winds at 10 to 15 miles an hour. As you head out on the boat, it's going to be a little bit more bumpy as you head out there. The waves are going to be at 2 to 4 feet there as well, and they're going to be increasing as we head towards the weekend with a moderate chop becoming a little bit more choppy, so small craft may want to be careful as they head on out towards the middle of the Gulf. For tonight's forecast, 73 degrees in Tampa, 66 the cool spot in the Panhandle in Tallahassee, 64 the cool spot in the state in Jacksonville, a little bit warmer down towards the southern parts of the state. Right around the Central Florida area, right around 90 degrees, and that's going to be pretty much the same story across most of the area. Now, I talked a little bit about that tropical weather across the state here. What's it looking like for the next couple of days?
Indeed, John, you do have an area of concern, especially for the Florida region. It is in the area of concern for this next coming system. Now, let's go ahead take a brief look at what's happening around the climatology of this October. Now, we're going to see where these systems may begin to form, mainly around the Caribbean. I would say the Gulf of Mexico, maybe even off just the shores of Bahamas. The general trend to track is go through Florida, then up and through the Atlantic, or even just go into the United States. So we do see more systems begin to form closer to home. I'd say maybe in Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. Now, names-wise, if this next storm were to be named the next day or two, we were seeing Karen next on the list, and that's my mom's name too. So Mom, you could be next name of storms on the list. That's kind of a cool fact here. However, though, let's take a broader look at things and more serious. Now, a hint satellite of the Atlantic not showing much activity except the storm into the Caribbean. Most Atlantic looking very good. A lot of wind shear out there. But however, we have this nice system out into the Yucatan Peninsula. Is this where the area of concern is? Now, of course, the main concern of this is the projection of where is it supposed to go. Satellite radar does show a lot of good new activity begin to come up from the storm. We have a good inflow from the Caribbean, from the Eastern Pacific, and from the Atlantic. A lot of cloud cover associated with the region. So currently, we have a lot of moisture coming in from multiple areas, which helping to fuel the growth. And this is what's sort of indicating. With the center is broadband, low pressure system. The center is just off the Yucatan shore. And a lot of clustered thunderstorms are beginning to wrap itself around, which is a good indication of organization of the storm. So it's beginning to get itself together, north-northwestward movement. So it's going to gradually make itself into the Gulf of Mexico, and then this is where the area of concern is at. So currently we do have a lot of wind shear in Mexico. Now I put this futurecast in a rainfall. We have, of course, a lot of rain in the next coming days for South Florida, Cuba, and the Cayman Islands. Now, put this in motion. We have GFS model. It's beginning to make its way somewhere in between New Orleans and Tallahassee. Maybe it'll direct landfall into Pensacola. Associated with this storm, of course, a lot of rain projected into it. So, big factor currently is the rain, but the intensity is of sort of question. Now, when you go into the Gulf of Mexico, a lot of those storms are a little hard to forecast for intensification. There's a lot of warm water there and a lot of questions of concern. Now, the futurecaster, we've been showing you this as I put into motion that high pressure is beginning to make its way out, so the storm is allowed to move onshore. Now, the area of concern is all the way from the middle of New Orleans throughout into Tallahassee. So we have the Gulf area of concern extending out into these regions. So in the next couple days, we have this system begin to make its way into the region, and this is where the area of concern is going to be at. So the next couple of days, I would advise you to please stay in tune, of course, and see where exactly the storm could be making its way through. There's a lot of course, questions that will be answered in the next coming days based off the new model runs and the newest information. But of course, how we have a lot of concern. These storms they're a little hard to forecast.
They are,
especially going in the Gulf of Mexico, areas of unknown concern.
I think you summed it up pretty nicely. It's hard to predict these storms, and it's hard to focus on these storms because it's been such a relatively quiet season.
It has, and let's get into our next story. 2013 hurricane season, but one of those least intense-wise since the 1950s.
We still had a number of tropical storms. 10 tropical storms?
And around our average is 12 tropical storms.
So not too bad when you think about that, but only 2 hurricanes, and that's pretty unusual since 1950. That hasn't happened too much.
Yeah, now by the end of November is, of course, the end of the season, and we see around 6 hurricanes as average. So the intensification of the season has been quite minimal than what we usually have, which is, of course, the good part, I would say, for the United States coast.
Yes, of course. We got to watch this system very closely over the next few days, and we here at FSU Weather will keep you up to date. But let's take one last look at your local forecast with Jake.
Jake?
All right, thanks, guys. And taking it back to the local level, like you said, today we saw a high of 87 and a low of 70, which, as you can see, both of these values, those are both higher than our average values. But nonetheless, today was pretty dry out there. It felt pretty seasonal and comfortable, but those temperatures definitely got up there. 83 is our current condition with a dew point of 62 degrees. Now, the dew point is a fairly good indicator of how cold things could get, but not how cold they will get. This is just the temperature at which dew would form if this temperature was reached. So it's down there 61, I believe, so that's pretty dry. 83 as our current temperature in Tallahassee, 77 Quincy down there in St. Mark's, 84 and 83 in Carabel. So things are generally pretty cool, all things considered, around the region, and getting cooler as nightfall progresses. But right now on the satellite and radar, we do see a little bit of moisture starting to spur up on the coast near us as that system moves in to the northwest, and we can see that the dry conditions that we've been seeing around the past few days are going to hold for the next few days, but the moisture levels are still increasing, and this gives a pretty good presentation of that system down there. It's starting to definitely get organized, and you definitely see the trend as it moves up towards the northwest and possibly going to make its landfall on Saturday, unfortunately on game day. But for right now, high pressure is sitting in for the moment, keeping things dry and seasonable. It's going to move out of here in the next few days, though, and increase this chance of concern as this storm moves in, right around here. As Jason said, New Orleans all the way to Tallahassee is where the big area of concern is as the system moves in here right on our game day and increases chances for, obviously, rain and quite a bit more as it moves in. But for tonight, 66 degrees is going to be our temperature, so a little bit warmer than we've seen over the past few days, but still pretty comfortable, pretty seasonable, partly cloudy skies. It's going to be a comfortable night out there, so definitely take advantage of that while it lasts. Tomorrow's forecast, 86 degrees, so things are a little bit warmer. It's going to be a lot like today, though, pretty comfortable out there. Conditions are still going to be pretty dry and seasonable, partly cloudy skies, and like I said, seasonable with sunshine, so definitely take advantage of this. It's going to be pretty nice out there. For your 7-day, things are going to be pretty, mid-80s up till the weekend, and we're going to be watching the tropics for that system as the chances of rain are going to increase to about 50% on Saturday. So obviously that's game day. You guys are going to keep your eyes on the weather station. We will be watching it here at FSU Weather, and then thankfully next week we can see those temperatures drop as another cold front moves in, and we're going to see temperatures down there and the lows in the mid-60s and lower 60s by Wednesday and the lower 80s across the next week. But let's take it back for the final desk. Jason, Tyler, what's it looking like?
Hey, thanks, Jake. And you just told us next day, tomorrow's going to be at least the last nice day, and coming into the weekend, we do have some showers.
Get out and enjoy it. Troy was talking about earlier, take that walk, go out onto Landis, enjoy the outdoors, because really by the weekend, clouds will increase and rain could increase as well. Hopefully, we're really crossing our fingers not for the game.
Certainly the forecast. The game is, by the way, 12 o'clock against Maryland, ranked number 25th in the nation, so it's going to be a good game, folks. I suggest you get out there. Certainly bring a poncho.
Yes.
Rain is in the forecast. It's going to be, according to us, we really think it's going to be spotty showers. Here comes one, here comes another. Throughout the day. So certainly bring, I say, the umbrella by Friday into the weekend, throughout the whole weekend.
Yeah, I remember the last game, Bethune-Cookman, I got drenched going to the stadium. So definitely, even a poncho was like putting me to shame. So the weatherman gets caught in the rain too.
True Seminoles, though, do still go to the game, even though it's raining.
Yep.
But let's take a look at that 7-day forecast one more time. Friday through Sunday, we are watching the tropics. And Tyler, after that, we have some cooler temperatures on the way.
I'm looking forward to that. High temperatures in the low range of the 80s, more sunshine after a fairly somewhat potentially wet weekend, and low temperatures in the 60s.
Hey, if you like us on Facebook, please like us at facebook.com/FSU Weather, or you can also tweet us on twitter.com/FSU Weather. You want to watch any of our shows, please come watch anytime on livestream.com/FSU Weather.
Time to start thinking about that Halloween costume, right?
Hey, it certainly is. October is in full swing, and certainly it's fall.